completely besieged, and therefore he pleaded so much, let us call this encounter off.
Gordon seemed resigned to his fate. In one of his last letters to his sister Augusta, this Christian hero put his fate in God's hands.
I think that our Lord is ruling all things to the glory of his kingdom, and cannot wish things were different than they are. I have done my best for the honor of our country. Goodbye.
Khartoum had held out for a staggering 317 days, until the night of January the 25th, 1885.
There was a council, Mahdi's Khalifas. They decided that it is right time for invading Khartoum. Al-Mahdi himself crossed the river that night, and he preached his Ansars and conveyed to them, this is the night, this is what we've been waiting for.
During the Mahdi final talk to his people, to the soldiers, to Ansar, the night of the attack on Khartoum, he ordered them or advised them not to kill certain specific number of people. Among them was Gordon himself.
You Europeans don't want to believe this. You think that the Mahdi was a bloodthirsty man. I don't think so. He never liked that. In the case of Gordon, he said he didn't want Gordon to be killed. He wanted him to be with him.
But the polite exchange of letters had stopped. The Mahdi's diplomatic gestures were now replaced by a ruthless military will. In the early hours of the morning, 50,000 of the Mahdi's dervishes swarmed over Khartoum's defenses. They butchered citizens and soldiers, enslaved their captives, and sent girls to harems. Gordon was trapped in his palace and speared to death. Then, his head was cut off and paraded through the streets. Two days later, the relief expedition finally arrived. In Britain, the sacrifice of Gordon sent a convulsion through society.
This was, if you like, a double blow, the death of the man himself, but also the failure of British arms to rescue him. And this was seen very much as a national calamity, and there was an extraordinary outpouring of national grief, not perhaps entirely unprecedented, but certainly on an extraordinary scale. It's very difficult to think of a comparative event within that period of British history.
In Sudan, people prayed in celebration.
تاريخنا بيبدأ بالمهدية لأنه الثورة الكبيرة اللي حققت لنا حريتنا واستقلالنا وخلتنا من الدول اللي أصبحت في تعرضها للاستعمار البريطاني أصبحت على كل لسان مشهورة برا. زمان ما كانت السودان ذكر خامل ما معروف. بداية بالثورة المهدية بدأت الانطلاقة دي وما حتنتهي. وبعدين تعلق الناس لها حسب المهدية بيجي من هنا، من إنه هي دي الثورة الحررت البلد لأول مرة.
Although the Mahdi had united the country against foreign rule and defeated the greatest empire the world had ever seen, he didn't live to see his dream of a new Islamic state. Six months after Gordon's head was paraded around the ruins of Khartoum, the Mahdi died of typhus. Under his chosen successor, the Khalifa, the Mahdi's legacy lived on in the establishment of a vast and aggressive Sudanese state, the Mahdiya. But the Khalifa lacked the political skills to hold the country together. And as the years went by, tribal infighting began to destabilize the country.
But it's typical of all revolutions, of course. They are very successful when it comes to defense and resistance and jihad. But then even when you conquer, when you achieve, you don't know how to build. you may be capable of destroying the enemy, but you don't know how to build your own model.
In London, the instability of the fledgling Islamic nation was now seen as a real threat to Egypt, Britain's key strategic interest in the region.
For the British, it was quite clear that there will be no stability in Egypt if Sudan was ruled by and controlled by a hostile nationalist regime. The Mahdist state was an exception, and this could not be tolerated.
To justify a new military operation against the Mahdiya, Sudan was presented to the British public as a human rights disaster in a carefully orchestrated campaign by a man who idolized Gordon. He was another imperial Christian evangelist, Reginald Wingate. Wingate, as head of intelligence for the Egyptian army, made it his business to disparage the Mahdiya as a corrupt and oppressive state. This was a matter of revenge, pure and simple.
Now, there is no doubt whatsoever that all reference to the oppression, the corruption, and so on, is an exaggeration. Wingate did encourage all writers to character assassinate the leaders of the Mahdist state, and also to depict it as corrupt, oppressive, in order to persuade public opinion in Britain to support the campaign to avenge Gordon.
Yet the Mahdiya was not going to self-destruct. It had to be defeated. 13 years were to pass before the British saw their martyr avenged, and they had to go to extraordinary lengths to do it. It took army engineers 2 years to build a railway from Egypt south across the Sahara Desert to Khartoum. 2,000 miles of track laid at 3 miles a day for the sole purpose of transporting an army of 20,000 soldiers to eliminate an enemy of the empire. This force was led by the ideal Christian warrior, a ruthless military technician and deeply devout man. Like Wingate, General Herbert Horatio Kitchener was one of Gordon's most avid admirers. When he found out that the invasion of Sudan had been ordered by the British government, Kitchener danced with joy. Now, Kitchener and Wingate had the chance to avenge their hero and teach the dervishes an unforgettable lesson. What happened here at Omdurman in 1898 was the zenith of Victorian imperialism. The last hurrah of the generation that regarded world domination as its manifest destiny. The Battle of Omdurman was to pit the full military might of the biggest empire the world had seen against an army of desert tribesmen. This